Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christie Ruffino.
Well, hello, everybody. You are listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I am Christie Ruffino, the host of the show, and today is a very special episode. I am not going to be interviewing anybody, but I am going to be celebrating our 1-year anniversary with all of you. And I have a few things that I really want you to be engaged around this episode. One is I love constantly evolving our show and just kind of growing it and making it different and better. So please send me any requests of guests that you want or topics you want us to cover, because I want to make sure that what we provide is what you want. Secondly, I have a wonderful gift that I'm going to be sharing. I have something that I created that I have been using with my clients for the last couple years, and I am going to be offering it as one of my products, but for a limited time, I'm going to be giving that away for free. So keep your ears posted here because I am going to be talking and sharing how you can get that free gift. All right. Well, I am recording this yesterday, which is today. I know that doesn't make any sense, but the day before, just hours before this show is going to be dropped, because I've been contemplating on what I wanted to do. And I know when I first started this show, I had a lot of anxiety around creating it. What is the focus? Is anybody going to be listening? How can I have a podcast? How can I speak? How can I talk? I will tell you, I can remember as a high schooler, one of our required classes was speech class. And I was not just an introvert, but I was a shy introvert. And if you don't know the difference between all of that, I have a wonderful book that I recommend to everybody, whether they're introverted or not. It's called The Introvert Advantage. But I regress. So back in high school in speech class, one of our end of the year, I guess, projects that we got graded on was to prepare and give a speech in front of the class. Not the whole school, mind you, just the class. And I remember hiding under the bleachers the day it was my turn to give a speech or a talk. Speaking terrifies me. It still does. When I have to get on a stage, I basically don't sleep. And I think about it and I get anxious. I say yes, but when the time comes, or even a week before, or even a month before, when I think about giving that speech, that anxiety comes back. So for me to be a podcast host was something that stretched my boundaries, but I've gotten a little bit better. My editor doesn't yell at me as much for saying actually and like as much. I still do it, but not as much as I did initially. And I kind of have this challenge. I know it's not dyslexia, but I have this, maybe it's just the anxiety as well, but I transpose words a lot. And it's kind of frustrating. I'll even just be talking or having a sentence, and it mostly happens with somebody that I don't necessarily know. With people I know, I'm pretty good, but with people I don't know, I'll be talking and just words will be switched around and it's weird. So so that's been one of my challenges to overcome that and to just push through it. And I know the more I practice, the better I get. But for this episode specifically, I didn't know what to do. I've had so many amazing guests over the years. And what I thought I would do is I would just talk a little bit about what this podcast is, what it was, and what is yet to come. So that's the theme of the show. I want to talk a little bit about what it is, why I created it. I want to go into all of the different guests that we've had over the last year and then share my vision about what is yet to come. All right, here we go. So without going to my whole story, I will just give you a brief summary of how I dived into overcoming mediocrity and helping women own their stories, share their stories, and really step into a business that lights them up. I started 18 years ago a networking organization. Started off as one little group, and then it morphed into multiple chapters in multiple cities and then into multiple states. Now, that organization is still rolling along. It's the Dynamic Professional Women's Network. We still have chapters in multiple states, but because of the last 2 years of the way our world has been, things have been a little challenging to maintain and grow, mostly because we are a community that focuses on in-person networking, on meeting, getting to know each other, build relationship with each other, seeing how we can learn enough about each other's businesses so we can be an extended sales force for each other. And it's very powerful. It works great, but it's really hard to do that virtually, especially when the businesses of our members have changed and just morphed throughout the last couple of years. So that being said, the reason why I started that organization was my then story. I had to get out of my comfort zone and bring in new clients for the mortgage business I was in at that point. And I had a lot of challenges, a lot of lessons. My story, gosh, that was 2012 is when I shared my story. But what happened with that experience was, many things happened out of that experience. The moment I was able to share my story authentically without all that emotional baggage, like when we're in the middle of our story, we're raw, we're just, it's kind of hard for us to share our story in an objective way and share the lessons because we're still very hurt. We're still in the pain. We're still haven't processed that pain and come out on the other side. But then there's also the next piece, when we're able to own that story, share that story authentically to help other people, we're able to grow into that next story. And we all have many stories. I will just share that today I was at an in-person networking event. And one of the main reasons that I did go, because I don't do a lot of local networking events anymore, but one of my past clients, one of the women that was in our Overcoming Mediocrity Fearless Women book, was the main speaker. And her story at the time was incredible. But what I will tell you is she's gone through something in the last year that is even more incredible. So we already talked about having her be in another book. So would love to have that. But the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because we all have many stories and we want to keep evolving. We want to keep having those stories because that means we're growing. That means that we are not coasting through life and we are not being mediocre. So I shared my story in that book. It was called Dare to Be a Difference Maker, and it was produced by Michelle Prince. And Michelle was and I'm going to say actually, Michelle was actually my second guest on the show. So Michelle Prince is the power of authority. And she was on episode number 2, back in December of last year, 2020. And I shared my story. It was transformational for me. And more importantly, it was at that time a way for me to grow into my next story and use it to leverage myself, my journey, my wisdom, my experiences with the world in a greater way to help me have a better outcome in my business. And I will say that it worked. It was wonderful. I grew personally, my business grew. And when the dust settled, that was when I had the light bulb moment to give the women of my community that exact same opportunity. And that was our very first Overcoming Mediocrity book back in 2013. And I'm happy to say now, many years later, we have produced 11. Well, we're on our 11th book under the Overcoming Mediocrity brand. I've also helped other professionals create a multi-chapter co-authored book for their clients. So we've got quite a few of those that we've produced for experts out there in the world. And it's just been amazing. And so that's kind of how things all got started. Gosh, it has just been a wonderful experience. And the thing that I love most about having a podcast, now there are a lot of benefits. And so if you're on the fence about launching a podcast, I would just say, do it. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to get started and continue to make it better every time. And a podcast will help your brand. It will help you bring in clients. It will help you serve your clients. There are a lot of steps that you want to take to make sure that your podcast is successful. And the first step is to identify the reason why. Now, for me, the reason why I wanted to launch a podcast was that it was an opportunity for me to give my clients, my authors, an additional platform to share their story, because every one of our episodes features somebody really super cool, their story, and their ninja tips. And so this is a great opportunity for me to be able to serve my clients in a greater way. That was my goal. That was my motivation. But what's come out of it has been more than I ever really could have expected. And so for me right now, the biggest blessing with this whole experience is that I have focused time to not only help my clients reconnect with them, see what they're doing in the world, helping them share their story, helping them share their message, but the people that I meet along the way as in my business ventures, it allows me to help them and serve them and just be able to build relationships with the players in the world, the other people that are out there doing big things. And it's just has been a really great, fun time for me to serve my audience and build deep relationships. I honestly would rather record podcast shows than go out and network, because I'm having one-on-one conversations with somebody that is just super bright. They're sharing their wisdom. We're getting to know each other. I'm helping them, and we're adding so much value in the world, especially to our audience. And another opportunity, another side benefit is it's allowed me the opportunity to get on other podcasts and just be able to get my message out there in the world. And so that's a little bit of context about kind of how this all got started. Throughout the years, I want to highlight some of our guests, because throughout the years, we've had some incredible guests. So I want to talk about my first guest, my last guest, the one that was just on last week, some of our highest rated shows, and some of my most memorable interviews. So are you all with me? Are you all excited to hear about all of these amazing episodes that we've had throughout the year? Before we do that, I want to share that I have created a story monetization blueprint. And for a limited time, I'm going to be giving that away free. Now, right now, I'm in the middle of a masterclass series. And with that masterclass series, it is also including that story monetization blueprint. So I would like to offer that as well, both of them actually as well, to the guests that are listening on this show. So if you're listening on December 8th or December 9th, you're not too late to get in my masterclass. Or if you've missed that class, you still have the opportunity to get my story monetization blueprint. All you have to do is go to storymonetization.com. And don't worry, the link will be in the show notes below. My masterclass is free. Right now, this blueprint is free. When you sign up to get it, you won't be able to get it right away because I'm not releasing it until December 20th. I want to make sure that everybody that takes my masterclass has first access to it. And then throughout the end of the year, you'll be able to download that for free before I add it to my store. All right, so let's dive into our year in review. My very first guest ever was my very first mentor ever in business. And he is the one and only Bob Burg, the author of The Go-Giver and the creator of the Go-Giver Way. And he has been so gracious to serve my community throughout the years. I was a city partner for him. He came into Chicago numerous times to speak to the crowds of people that I brought together, people that were networkers, and I believe needed to learn how to network the right way. And Bob not only created a series of books under the Go-Giver brand, which to this day is one of my top 5 business books that I recommend to everybody, is the Go-Giver, the original Go-Giver. It's red. It's a very short read. It's a little parable about one man's journey to become a amazing salesperson, but not by being Sally. And you'll have to read the book to learn how he did it. But it's really, I'll give you a secret, a little hint. It's about giving first and serving first, and then having everything else come to you in an abundant way. And Bob has been in Chicago many times. I've met him visited him in Jupiter, Florida many times. And he is just one of the most authentic business professionals you will ever meet. And so he is episode 1. So make sure you catch that episode. I'm hoping to have him again for an encore show, because he is just an amazing speaker that just packs so much content into a 30-minute window that you just can't believe. And our episode number 2 again was with Michelle Prince, and she talked about how to leverage what you already know to build your business and career. And I'll give you a hint about Michelle. She is a publishing and I say efficiency expert. I think efficiency is the wrong word, but the correct word is not coming to me. But Michelle is a sought after speaker and just an amazing, amazing person, because she helped me put together our Overcoming Mediocrity very first book, just because she was a go-giver. I didn't pay her. She didn't ask to be paid. She just helped me, mentored me, and supported me to put that whole book together, because that's just who she is. Next, I want to fast forward to, I will say the first few guests that I had When I first launched, I did a 12 days of Christmas rapid fire launch back in December of last year. And I invited so many amazing people, men and women. And the next one I want to highlight is Marla Tabaka. Marla is she is a mindset, confidence business coach. And she has helped, people create 7-figure businesses. She is just amazing. She used to be a writer for Inc. magazine. And I will say her episode number 3 was just incredible. Now, the next one I want to talk about is episode number 4. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to go through all 64 episodes or 63 episodes, but I will say some of these are really incredible. And Jen Koffel, she is episode number 4. Jen is just an amazing business professional. She teaches people how to speak their way to over 100K. And when I first met Jen, she was a member of my women's networking organization. She, many years later, shared her story in one of our Overcoming Mediocrity books. And she already had, I believe at that point, 2 6-figure businesses. But what she does is she helps people create these 6-figure businesses. And now we are partnering together on a project, and it's just crazy. It's funny how things come full circle. I just recently worked with her on a project that she brought in $47,000 with something that a project that we're working together on. So she is just a money machine. And if you have a chance to listen to episode number 4 with Jen Koffel, I really encourage you to do that. All right, so now let's roll forward a little bit. I want to bounce to episode number 9. This is with Kathy Donovan Wagner, better known as the Retail Maven. Now, I don't have any retail experience whatsoever. And so when I invited Kathy on the show, I didn't even know if I have many people in my audience that are into retail. But Kathy is an amazing numbers person. And she taught me things on that episode that have nothing to do with retail, or that have something to do with retail, but also to do with life. And these are things that I implemented right away. So Kathy Donovan, her show was titled Dare to Rise and Thrive, Know Your Numbers. So Dare to Rise and Thrive with the Retail Maven. All right. So I will continue on, and I am going to highlight a couple of my other really favorite episodes. And I'm going to fast forward now to episode number 24. This, at that time when this aired, was my highest rated show. It surpassed every other episode that I had produced at that point. And this is with Sharmila Wijakumar, and her topic was human trafficking. And Sharmila, or we call her Sam, founded Rahab's Daughter. And what they do in that ministry and that nonprofit is they help rescue women and men, and sadly children, who are currently being trafficked. And they help them there's a word for it, but basically help them reacclimate in society as a non-victim. And it's a process, because the statistics are pretty bad about how many of these people go right back to being trafficked, not necessarily because they want to, yet they do it by choice. And it's because that's all they know, and it's comfortable, and they've been doing it so long. Some of these people in this very dysfunctional cycle, I mean, most of their lives they've been in this, and it's a hard transition. And so she had a very eye awakening episode, and that is episode 24. And if you just search for human trafficking, you should be able to find that show. And if you are, gosh, if you want to really understand the gravity of what's going on, definitely tune into that episode. All right. So as I roll on to some of the other shows that we have hosted, I will share that I have been so honored to have so many amazing and talented people on our show. And if I exclude many of them, it's not because they weren't just breathtaking shows, but it's because I don't want this episode today to be a 5-hour long episode. I don't want to bore you all. So I'm just trying to pull up some of the highlights, some of the different topics that I feel this audience would really enjoy, and just making sure that we're all learning the things that we need to learn to keep growing and moving forward in our lives and in our businesses in the upcoming year of 2022. So I will talk right now about episode number 36. And this is with another mentor and business coach of mine, Jay Bassett. And so Jay is the real deal. He is a business coach with heart. Now he's in Canada and he is a man, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but he is a coach, a person that is authentic. He cares about you as a person more than he cares about lining his wallet. And I've had many coaches that I've worked with that don't care about the results you get. All they care is about you paying them on time and not missing a payment and not getting out of a contract, even if you're going broke and having to sell your house. I mean, I have witnessed firsthand people in coaching programs and I understand you make a commitment, you uphold that commitment. And I honestly, when I signed up for a specific coaching program years ago, I was just getting over shingles. I was a mess in many ways in my head and in my body, and I committed to something that I should not have. Financially, I couldn't afford it. I wasn't, my mindset wasn't ready for what I committed to, and I wanted to get out of it. And I didn't. I tried, but they didn't let me. And I will say that was one of the best things that happened to me, that I wasn't allowed to back out of it, that I needed to push out of my comfort zone, push through, make it happen. It was hard for a long time. I mean, I, at that point was, oh God, I don't even know what year it was, but I was making $900+ a month payments on a program with a business that I wasn't even making $900 a month. And so even though that was tough for me, I was still in a position that I could make $900. And I made it work and everything was fine. But I saw people that were in really, really bad shape, and they had to file bankruptcy. I mean, there was just a lot of things that I saw that were not good. And I'm sure if any of you are listening, have been in a coaching program, you've experienced the same thing, where people just take your money, a lot of money, and they may have a great program, but they're not delivering it in a way that you can get results. And they are not accepting responsibility or ownership for that. They just basically have this mindset of, well, you're getting it, you should be happy. And they move on to the next person that's going to whip out their credit card. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because this Jay Facette he is so authentic. He's been real. He will help. He does things for his community and he goes above and beyond any business person out there. And his focus is creating joint venture partnerships. And since my focus for many years was to create referral partnerships, this was so in alignment for me because I know we shouldn't be doing business on our own. I know the more people we have supporting us, the more successful we will become for many reasons that go way beyond just having somebody give you a client. When you have a loyal, dedicated group of business professionals that is supporting you, giving you wise counsel, holding you accountable, leading by example, pushing you beyond your beliefs, because now you're seeing what they're doing and you realize, well, hey, if they just had $100,000 launch, you can too. That is amazing. And what Jay does in his program is he teaches you how to create these intentional partnerships that have a system around sharing each other's businesses so we all make money. And the masterclass that I am holding this week, and I've been putting it together for a long time. I know my content, but of course I didn't have everything together for marketing and promoting it on time. But I was in an event with this team of people last week and I said, hey, my event is coming up. And oh my gosh, I don't have enough people registered. I only have about 30. And everybody in the team said, oh my gosh, I'll help. And so I sent them all my affiliate page. They all signed up as affiliate partners. They all got their swipe copy, their co-branded links, and they've been promoting me. And it's so amazing to be able to sit back and just know that, yes, I've got my emails going out. Yes, I'm doing my part to invite people, but they're doing it alongside me. And that's been amazing. So listen to Jay Facette's episode 36 on how to grow your business exponentially with joint venture partnerships. All right. So now I rambled a little bit. Let's move on to the next episode that was memorable. All right. So now I'm landing not so much on the memorable factor, but I'm talking right now about our highest rated shows to date. And this wasn't recently. These were about, let's see, in the episode 40, we've got 42 through 46. So a couple months ago, we first started with our Overcoming Mediocrity Empowered Women series. We had just launched our 10th book, and I wanted to give our women this platform to share their stories, but I didn't want to have 25 weeks of individual interviews. So we did a rapid fire 3-week multi-author group session. And so episode 42, 43, and 44 all feature the women in our books. And we have anywhere between 4 women and 8 women on each show. And each one of them not only shared a little bit about their story, shared a few ninja tips, and they all had a free gift. They all had a free lead magnet for our audience to be able to get and download and just be able to learn more from each of them. So go to episode 42, 43, and 44. Those were one of our top rated shows, which lead us to then the next one. So maybe it was the timing, maybe the fact that all of the people that tuned into those group shows just loved our episode, because the following 2 shows were our highest rated shows to date. We have not broken 1,000 unique downloads per episode yet, but both of these shows got really, really close. So let's start with episode number 45 with Dr. Sherry Brown, and she talked on nurturing your yin within. And that was our second top highest rated show with 963 downloads. So close. So I will ask you, if you want to learn about how to nurture your yin within, how to love your body, calm your mind, and feed your soul. Dr. Sherry she's medically trained. She is a wealth of information, and she did not speak over my head one time. She didn't speak over my head one time, and she just delivered so much great information. So that was episode 45, Nurture Your Yin Within with Dr. Sherry Brown. And then the next week we had No Sweat Mindset Fitness Fundamentals with Lorraine Lapointe. And she came in at 965 episodes, and she talked about how to just improve your mindset and tangible tips that you can do to become more focused in on what you want to create in your life. All right. So we have a few more episodes that I want to highlight before I wrap up. Let's see. I'm going through our website. If you go to overcomingmediocrity.org and you go to our podcast page, you can see all of our history. And the next, I'd say the third highest rated show, which one of our Overcoming Mediocrity series shows was a little higher than hers, but as far as a solo show, Jen Vera on how to unblock your resistance and raise your rates. She did an amazing job, and she focuses on how to be salesy, but be a sexy salesy person. I don't know her lingo, but I don't remember her lingo, but I know it was captivating. I learned a ton from her, how to unblock your resistance and raise your rates. And she has an amazing system called Sexy Sacred Sales. She had also a great gift that she shared with our audience. So check in with Jen Vera's episode 57, how to be a sexy salesperson. Of course, that's my words, not hers. And then finally, I have two. We're almost to the end. I'm so glad you hung tight with me. Again, before I share about these last two episodes, if you want to get my free story monetization blueprint, all you need to do is go to storymonetization.com. You can sign up to be on the waiting list to get that when it is to be released in December on the 20th. And it really will go through some really tangible steps for you to be able to leverage your story in business to increase your sales, attract more clients, more of your ideal clients, and just feel more at peace that you're serving the people that you're supposed to serve. All right. The last two shows that I want to talk about is episode 61. That was 2 weeks ago. That was with Deb Battersby. And Deb is an amazing coach, mindset coach, and she uses EI, emotional intelligence, to help people expand their belief system and accomplish greater things in the world. How to play with your ultimate superpower and get super results. And the reason why I'm bringing up this episode specifically is because Deb did her magic on me. We had a little session, if you want to say, about mindset, and we dived into some things that I didn't necessarily recognize before that day. And I will tell you, it has opened up a lot of things for me. So I'm really super excited about having you all have the opportunity to hear and learn from Deb Battersby in episode number 61. And then finally, my final show that I want to highlight that was just last week is with Melissa Hughes on how to build leads at TikTok speed. And yes, TikTok is the new platform for business owners that can be leveraged in a way to bring people back into your world. TikTok is very unique. I don't understand it. I don't know anything about it. I haven't played in it yet, but I will tell you, she is an influencer. She's been on the Kelly Clarkson show. I think she's got like 200-300 followers. And in her show specifically, she teaches TikTok strategies. So you'll want to listen to episode number 62 with Melissa Hughes. All right. So I told you I was going to share a little bit about what is, what was, and what was yet to come. And so now I'm to the yet to come part. And I want to ask all of you if you have any topics that you want us to cover, if you have any suggestions on amazing guests, send me an email. We would love to hear your thoughts and input. I have great ideas. I've got great plans. Like I said earlier, 2022 is going to be the best year ever. I'm going to take all of my last 10 years of business and wrap it up into one. And this is going to even be better than them altogether. I have a big women's summit coming up for International Women's Day. I've got a retreat I'm planning for the end of the year. I've got my program that is just doing amazing things for our clients. I've got a masterclass this week. I've got an encore class coming up next week. Just got a ton of resources for our clients. We're doing 2 Overcoming Mediocrity books a year. We are also producing, oh my gosh, I think 4 or 5 co-authored books right now for other clients that are bringing in anywhere between $20,000 and $40,000 income in their pocket. And all they do is introduce this opportunity to their people, collect the credit cards, and then we work with their clients to do the whole process, from writing your story, from identifying the correct story, writing your story, refining your story, building out your path. So what is the best lead magnet for them, including that in the book, producing the book, going to become an Amazon bestseller. I mean, there's just a ton of things we do for people in this business space. So if you are already in a business, if you are already a 6-figure business coach or higher, this may be a great opportunity for you to add an additional opportunity to your program offerings that can increase your revenue and, more importantly, serve your clients more. So as the Overcoming Mediocrity brand keeps building, my goal is to give eventually every woman the opportunity to share their voice with the world. And honestly, you don't have to stand on a stage to be able to make an impact in the life of somebody else. The first time I shared my story in a book, I honestly didn't think anybody was going to read it. But I remember it was, maybe 4 or 5 months after the book was out. And it's kind of in the back of my mind. I kind of forgot about it. I was using it networking when I went out, but it wasn't, I was out of the promotional phase, and it just kind of became a part of my history. But then somebody sent me an email and she told me how hearing my story just helped her with what she was going through. She didn't feel alone. She felt more empowered. And she really thanked me for being authentic in my story sharing. So that way she could learn from me, be inspired from me, and kind of not make some of the mistakes that I made, and just being able to get on the other side of her trauma a little easier. So that, I will share, my friends, is all I have. I'm hoping that you found this episode to be of some value. I just didn't want to move on to year 2 without being able to give a little credit, just share some of the highlights, reflect on some of the amazing things that have happened together with our clients. And I didn't even get into my client success stories, because many of the women that have been in my books and have been on my podcast have taken their business to a place that they never thought possible. But this has been a process of growth for them personally and professionally, and their their message has been heard by more people than they ever could have thought possible. It's transformed lives, and it's also transformed their pocketbooks. And it's just been amazing to see that happen. So if there's any way I can serve you, please feel free to reach out. Don't forget to get on the sign up list for the pre-orders, the free pre-orders of my story monetization blueprint. You simply have to go to storymonetization.com and get on the list, and then you can get that when it's available. And again, I'll put my email in. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any suggestions, if you have anything that you can think of how I can serve you based on the area of expertise of myself and my team. And I just, hopefully we'll be around next year this time to be able to celebrate 2 years of producing an amazing, fun podcast that just really serves the world in many ways, through business, through health, through life, through all kinds of wisdom that our experts share. But until then, thank you and have a blessed day.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.